Doom vivamos vivamos Epicureans. This is the BCE Comics Pod one-shot edition. I'm your host, Nick Smith, and I'm joined by...
Stojr from Stojr's Shop. How's it going, Nick?
I'm doing well, particularly since we are participating in Kurtis Findlay's Epic Marvel Podcast Reading Club, and this one-shot is going to be our brief thoughts on today's issue, which is X-Men and Alpha Flight #1, The Gift, written by Chris Claremont, art by Paul Smith and Bob Viacek. Getting the game back together in a way, right?
Mm-hmm.
All right, so up in Alaska, the air freight service run by Scott Summers' grandparents has a flight piloted by Madeline Pryor and Scott to bring some Canadian researchers somewhere up in the Arctic. A bad storm hits, and as is typical when Cyclops is in an airplane, the plane crashes. We really need to make a tally, right? I don't know how much it would take to go back and just kind of check.
Literally never flying with these people ever.
Yeah.
Not to be like it's not racist, but not to be anti-mutant, but never getting on a plane with any of them.
Yeah. No, this is proof by experience, right? Okay, so Cyclops is on the plane, which means it has to crash, and it does. The death of Cyclops is then psychically felt by Rachel Summers, the woman from the dystopian future who is the daughter of Cyclops. The storm that brought down the plane seems very similar to the magical storm that Shaman of Alpha Flight used against the X-Men all the way back in Uncanny X-Men number 120. Well, the X-Men thus confront Alpha Flight. They discover they weren't behind the storm, and the two groups decide to investigate the storm, the disappearance of the flight altogether. When they fly to the Arctic, miracle upon miracles, they don't crash land, but instead, when they get to where the storm was, they find a serene and magical land where all the humans on the flight survived, including Cyclops, and they're living out their lives, achieving their full potential, and all the ills of the people are being cured. But in the background of all this, Loki, the god of mischief, seems to have some plan brewing, and two members of Alpha Flight, Shaman and Snowbird, are not doing so well. All right, Stojr, what are your thoughts?
So first, I noticed that the collected edition cover of this is in this Epic collection, and in there, I actually own this book. I got it as the sort of double single issues. And it's that one there by Cockrum, I believe, that drew the one in the bottom left. So, but I don't remember reading the story. I'm sure I skimmed through it or read it at some point in time, but I didn't really commit it to memory. One of the things that and it's similar to my critique of the JR art in an earlier issue. I kind of feel like I should have liked the art more than I did. I was a big Paul Smith fan earlier in the run, very high on it, but there's just, I don't know, there's something different about what he's doing here. And it's not everywhere. Like the cover's pretty solid. There's some panels and pages which are great, and there's nothing bad in here. But for how high up on him I was, like there's just something different. The inking's different. The penciling's a little different. Maybe there's some just maybe he's a little different. I'm not the biggest fan of his. I didn't seek out his X Factor issues, for instance, that'll come a little bit later. So maybe there was just lightning in the bottle in those Uncanny X-Men issues, and maybe there's just, I'm looking through those with nostalgic eyes or something like that. But there's something slightly different. But anyway, this cover is great. I think the story is pretty decent. I think Loki's motivations of what he's trying to do overall feel, little simple, a little silly. He's trying to earn favor, basically, things of that nature. But I do think that the story of what he's trying to do, or what he's doing to people, I should say, and the sort of giving them what they want, and what we'll learn as we go through this series, and the impact of that is super interesting. The idea here that it's affecting some of these magic users, and I know it's magic on magic here, but anytime we can take magic out of the mix, even slightly, I'm a big fan of that. But side note, I did win an auction for a $17 Doctor Strange Epic. So I will actually own Doctor Strange Epic when that gets delivered.
Mark your calendars. Dare I ask which one?
I'll have to I'll let you know after you talk because I have to look it up.
Okay, no problem.
But it was I bid on a bunch of them and I only won one, and it was like $17 with like combined shipping, so it's less than $20 total. So um, yeah, I mean, I think this issue is pretty good. I think Rachel's acting like a little bit of a baby and kind of throwing a tantrum all the time. I don't know how old she's really supposed to be in these stories, but she's kind of stomping her feet a little bit too much. I get it. I understand, where her head's at and things like that. But I guess my threshold for her, throwing a fit is somewhat short as we go through this, and I don't think it's the last time we're going to see it through Uncanny X-Men for at least a little while. So, those are my thoughts. I think they're pretty decent. What do you think?
Yeah, it is kind of unexcusable or inexcusable for Rachel to just kind of go in all guns blazing on Alpha Flight without determining, what's going on. They live in a world of superpowers and magic. There's, nothing is ever what it seems on the surface, right? But she's also traumatized, so maybe from the world that she came from, so maybe she's not thinking properly, or maybe I'm just excusing her poor behavior. Anyway, I really enjoyed this, and I can't say what it is, to be honest. I enjoyed Paul Smith's art. I can't say I noticed a change in quality from what he did previously, but I've mentioned before that sometimes the art just kind of goes by me as I'm reading, and I have to remember to slow myself down and focus. So maybe I just kind of glossed over it, but maybe it was having him and Bob Viacek back again. Maybe it was having Alpha Flight, or that we're kind of grounded in the real world again. Kind of, yes, there's magic, but it feels like something that's been missing from these X-Men stories for a long time is back. Or maybe it's just because I'm finally getting over the Wolverine Kitty Pryde miniseries. I don't know. And then Kulon Goth after that. It's just, it hasn't felt like the X-Men for a while. So
Right.
this feels like we're kind of coming home in a way, but not in a way that I can really explain. And I know that's not a great way to give commentary, but that's just kind of how I'm feeling. I think the story is set up well. Even though I haven't been reading Alpha Flight at all, I feel like I'm given enough information about the team to know what I need to know. Loki being in the background, don't really know what's going on there. But I also don't know what's going on in Thor right now, if this feeds into the Thor comics at all. Should I maintain the mystery here, Stojr, or just talk about what we this is the second time we recorded this one. We had some technical difficulties the first time, because that's what we do on this show. Stojr, what was it that you remembered?
Yeah. So first, before you go to page 166, go to you're actually going to be heading to 169, but go to 165 real quick. Stop a couple pages early. I just want to point out before I talk about the Loki thing.
I don't have the page numbers on this one. Is that it?
Oh, it's page before this.
Page before this? Okay.
So like that, like when I talk about like Paul Smith's art feeling off, and again, this is like because I was like, really high on him earlier, right? So I'm not throwing barbs. Like we've had way worse artists on X-Men, if you fast forward through the years. But like that panel with Professor Xavier, like I don't know what the heck I'm looking at here.
That one right there.
Like, well, no, underneath the very last one on the page.
Oh, wow, yeah, okay. Oh, they're in the astral plane, right? He's making himself big and scary.
Yeah, I mean, I guess, but like, that took me a while to think. Like, I thought the astral plane was like, a silhouette of somebody, or like a translucent version. You got this like giant person, like with like rainbows behind them, but not really. Like, I don't know. But like, even just the way he's drawn, like, and maybe that's just the idea to make him imposing and scary. But like his proportions look slightly off. Like, and that's just like one example. It was just I was flipping through the page that you were trying to get to, and but there's like little things like that where I was like, something's off for me.
Not to potentially spoil things for anyone who hasn't read ahead, but not recently ahead, but very far ahead in like the 2000s, you can kind of see the familial relationship or the looks of Cassandra Nova there, right?
Yeah.
It really pops in that one.
Yeah, no, definitely. But yeah, if you jump to 169, which is 2 pages ahead, I think. Yeah, here we go. So they do make a comment that the footnote there that Loki is referencing some events that happen in Thor 353. I went and pulled out the Omni from the shelf, and this is during the Walter Simonson era. And the Epic collection for this is being released. Would you say next month? It
Yeah,
comes out.
it's coming out in March. I don't remember which week. Check our fanfare episode. We do a rundown of what comes out in March.
Yeah, so that's to at least cover this issue, and we're somewhere in this neighborhood, right? So, we'd have to line up the months to see how far ahead of 353. But you had looked it up on the lost recording and it said that you ended here about 356. So,
Yeah. All right. Stojer, any other final thoughts for this one?
no, looking forward to the next issue. I think this is a cool little crossover, and I think like this from a story perspective, we get a lot of good stuff, in part two. This is all the setup.
Yeah. And you know what? I'm just anyone watching, sorry for those listening. I'm going to go back to that double page spread cover. That's just gorgeous. That's great. I
Yeah,
hate,
like I said, I'm not crapping on him as an artist or overall. There's some really good stuff in here. But when we jump over to the next cover in a second, I'm going to point out why the next one's a little lazy and this one's really good. So
yeah, I like these wraparound covers, but it makes it difficult for the setup that we've done for this show, right? Because I planned it to just have the front cover, but anyway, we'll leave it at that. All right, guys, thank you very much. If you enjoy our thoughts, you enjoy what we do, well, thank you. We like having you along. Follow us on YouTube. We're gonna read, rate, and review a full big collection edition comic once a month, plus these daily one shots. So again, thank you very much, guys, and we'll catch you next time.